Let us come to order, and we'll ask Mr. Carroll if you'll come forward and give us the courthouse emergency egress plan.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of the Emergency Management Office, we welcome our guests and visitors tonight. Our safety-related items we're going to go over in case there is a fire alarm. Everyone will exit towards the monument side of the courthouse. Everyone is to exit in the back parking lot. That is our meeting place. The fire department will be responding in the front of the building, and they don't want anybody in the front of the building crossing the street because that's where all their vehicles will be parked. Also, for those of you who don't know, we do have 911 in case there is an emergency. Dial 911. We do have an AED on the first floor in case there is a cardiac emergency. It's beside the elevator. And our bathrooms are at the end of this hall, and they are handicap accessible.
Thanks, sir. Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, please call a roll. One absent at this time, Larry Dockmiller. Thank you. Everybody has been distributed an agenda. Motion to approve, please. Motion by Commissioner Ward, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Grindstaff. Any discussion, comment?
Quick comment, I got my hopes up there, just seeing one page on the front right there. The additional.
Oh, okay.
Thought it was going to be real quick.
Well, we'll try to move through it as quickly as we can. Madam Clerk, call a roll. Motion to approve the agenda. Commissioner Carroll. Approve the agenda. All ayes, thank you. If you are an elected or appointed official in Carter County, if you would please stand, we would like to recognize you. Everyone will stand. Commissioner Campbell is going to present the invitation, and then following him, if you remain standing, Commissioner Peters will lead us in the pledge.
Mr. Chairman, again, just for a moment of silence for those kids today. Dear Heavenly Father, God, Lord, as we bow our heads and approach your throne of grace, Lord, one more time. Lord, thanking you for another day, Lord, that you've given us, God. You've given us good health to be back here, Lord, and praise you for it. Lord, I know your word says, letting on our hearts be troubled, but we know there's trouble on every hand. But we know, Lord, that you're sitting on the right hand of the Father, making intercession for each one, Lord, knowing that your plan's in motion, God. All we got to do is just follow it. Lord, we can never thank you enough for your love, mercy, and grace, God, that you have upon each one of us. God, tonight we do pray, Lord, as we make decisions here, Lord, that we'll seek your wisdom and your knowledge, Lord. Lord, we pray for our country and our leaders, Lord. We pray for this board. Lord, we pray for each one that's here tonight, Lord, that may have problems in their lives, God. We know, Lord, that you are the problem solver. Lord, tonight we can put our trust in you, knowing, Lord, that you'll never fail us, never leave us or forsake us, God. Tonight, Lord, we ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. Thank you.
Since we've already recognized elected and appointed officials, I hope everyone has read through the minutes of the April 16th Commission meeting. I need a motion to approve those.
Make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Holgren, followed by, second by Commissioner Grindstaff. Any comment? about the minutes. Commissioner Johnson.
Mr. Chair, page 774, right off the article, the dates, unless I missed the road, you can turn the line down on the PCA code to serve from May 1, 2018 until April 20th, 2011. Is there something in the verse or missed another? Have you located it?
Yeah, that's certainly correct. We'll correct that, Commissioner Sully.
Page 771, it should be 19E in Gap Creek, and the ones we left off is 9E, should be 19E in Gap Creek Road. A motion by Mike Bell, middle of the page.
And I think the date should be April 2022. Back on 774 according to the county attorney.
I don't know about the 20th, but it's 2022. I was assuming there's an impact on April 30th.
To the end. We're checking it. Thanks for catching it, Commissioner Johnson. Any others? Commissioner Deeds?
On page 763, number 3, I'm not sure what that number is, 15,00.
It should be 15,000.
Okay.
To make that correction. Any others? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, vote to approve the agenda, the minutes, pardon. All ayes with those corrections. Thank you. Okay, now we enter the period for public comment. Remember, we have a 5-minute opportunity to comment on anything. Anyone, any citizen that wants to come forward and speak to the commission may do so at this time. I'll give you 5 minutes to do that. So is there anyone wishing to address the commission tonight? Mr. Livingston, please come on forward. State your name for the record, please.
Roy Livingston, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, you people that's not been here before, somebody, if you'll just watch this thing, it ain't gonna take you long to figure out this is a cesspool. And it gets worse all the time, it seems to be anyway here lately. And they seem to have about 3 commandments here they follow. They lie to us, then they cheat us, and then it leaves the appearance they're stealing off of us. And I'll give you for instance, it's $12.5 million that come off the Cloudland School about 2 years ago. It's still on the tax rolls. That ain't all, but this is just one point there. It's $12.5 million. And if they can't show us on paper that they took this off the tax rolls, something happened to that money. Now you can figure out what you want to diagnose it at, because your taxpayers are paying. But that ain't the only one either, there's others. But something's got to be done here to watch this money. And there's a few of us been watching this money for a while. There's money everywhere here. They just can't show you where it's at. I asked about the $12 million at one point here, one of the financial directors. They said, it's gone. I said, gone where? They said, just gone. Wrong answer. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your money. I tell you, if you don't start watching this money and getting somebody to account for this thing, and they'll tell you in the finance department, they've got to account for every cent of this money. Where's this money at? Show us. If you show us, we'll shut up about it. But until they show us and show us on paper, before this has been took off the tax rolls, we're going to continue on this route. And I tell you, it's just a whole lot of stuff going on here that we don't understand. Some do, some don't. But it's just like this deal of, they had this trial up here in Virginia. The attorney here went. I just wondered if he has any legal ties. Did you have any legal ties with that court system up there, sir?
I object, Mr. Chairman. You cannot be interrogating our attorney.
Keep your comments, Mr. Livingston, to the commission.
All right. Well, I'll ask you this then. Did you have any authority to go? Did anybody authorize you?
Well, with respect, Chairman, Mr. Chairman, it's not a question and answer session.
Okay, good enough. This is the answers you get when you ask questions like this. If he didn't have some kind of legal ties with that court system up there, and he went in behalf of this county, it leaves the appearance that he had no authority to be there, representing Carter County, on across state lines. And this is stuff goes on continuously here. They do stuff Carter County law, they don't use the rule of law. And that's what's got everybody in trouble, that they use Carter County law on this stuff. And I mean, you ask questions and they won't answer. They'll say, oh, no, this is the kind of answers you get. And you ladies and gentlemen spend these taxes and stuff, it ain't over yet. Because there's one said right here the other night, a commissioner, I understood him to say that they're gonna raise taxes this year and then they're gonna raise them again next year. They've got a plan for next year. And that's the way it goes. So, if, you know, all you ladies out here that does grocery bills and stuff, you don't go to the store with $10 and get $100 worth of groceries. You gotta know how much you gotta spend before you start. And they don't do that here. They don't look to see how much money they got to spend. They just tax and spend. They tax it and send you, all your taxpayers' bill. Whatever it is, you pay it. They have a good time, you go on, they're breaking you up. Before it's over, they'll have everybody in here and delinquent taxes. And then they'll get your property. And that's the goal, it's what it appears to be. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Chairman.
Anyone else wishing to address the commission? Okay, seeing none, Commissioners, you have one additional item that is not on the agenda, it's in your packet. It's the draft for the month of June 2018 meetings. If you will just look that over, and if there are corrections, please talk to Patsy about those so that we can get those into the public domain as quickly as possible. Thank you. Next item, Madam Clerk, deliveries and bonds.
Trina G. Green, Charles Baker, Henry Willis, Johnny R. Julian, Brittany Tanner, Rhiannon Owens, Kimberly Lewis, Margaret Hollis, Shirley Huntington, Sandra H. Davis, Nancy Cook, Carol Burke, Rebecca Case Street, Rebecca Hopkins, Jackie Campbell, Kelly Arwood, Kimberly J. Lacey, Angela D. Lyons, Curtis Brunner, Dale M. Hauser, Tara C. Thomas, and Aunt Teresa Murray Smith, and Sandra D. Miller. Sharon D. Miller. Motion to approve.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Color, second by Commissioner Hill. Any discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, call the roll. 22 ayes and 1 no. So motion passes. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is to elect a school board replacement due to a resignation for District 7. So the floor is now open for nominations. Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Chair, we've got all the applications of the ones qualified for this, and I stand nominated Creole Fade Miller.
Creole Miller has been nominated. Other nominations?
I nominate Josh Hubbard.
Okay, Josh Hubbard has been nominated. Are there any others? Seeing none, can I have a motion to close nominations? Mr. Hill, seconded by Commissioner Watkins. So vote to end nominations, that's what we're voting. Commissioner Reynolds? Everybody's up? All ayes, thank you. At this time, we'll give each of the individuals who have been nominated an opportunity to address the commission and also have the opportunity for commissioners to ask questions of both nominees. And we'll do it alphabetically, so Mr. Hubbard, we'll start with you.
I'd like to thank each one of you for your time. I'll tell you just a little bit about myself. Josh Hubbard, I'm 25-year-old. It's my wife over here, Amber Hubbard. We've been married 4 years. And I've got a little girl that's 1.5 years. I've been a member of Powder Branch Baptist Church since I was 10 years old. I've been attending Powder Branch since before I was 9 months before I was born. I went to Happy Valley High School, went to Happy Valley all through school, all 12 years, and that's where my daughter will be in a few years. She'll be in Happy Valley. During high school, I represented Carter County in what they called the Youth Leadership Program, and that was, they selected a select few, there's 4 of us from each high school, and we went out once a month to different businesses and different locations in the county. And we learned about how to run those businesses and what businesses portrayed. And the criteria to be that, the teachers picked that, and the criteria for that was who they thought could be a leader in Carter County one day and who showed good leadership skills. And I was proud to be picked for that. I also represented the 4-H in Congress in Nashville, represented Carter County down there. And we spoke with, we went to Nashville and met all our leaders in the state and actually got to participate in a meeting kind of like this where we got to vote and stuff. When I turned 18, I joined the volunteer fire department. And I actually was a junior member before that. I graduated high school. I went to Northeast State in pursuit of a secondary education. I had intentions of being a high school teacher, and I did finish my 2-year degree there, but throughout that, I got more involved in the fire department, and I moved up, and I really took a passion for the fire department. And when I graduated from Northeast, I decided that maybe I wanted to change my career, and the opportunity became available then to put myself through fire school, and I got hired with the Elizabethton Fire Department, and that's where I am today. I've been there 3 years as a full-time firefighter. When I was in high school, as a freshman, I'd saved money and I bought me some cows. I bought me 3 cows, that's what I started with. And I've worked and managed my business on my own, and today I've got over 30 head. And I'm running a larger farming operation here in Carter County. I run that and operate that and manage that by myself. Since I've been at the fire department, the fire department's put me through some classes that, thanks to some people getting them for us, the younger guys sometimes don't get to do, but they made it work to where we could do it. I went through fire officer training. I went through some fire instructor training. And in those classes, that was 5 weeks worth of classes there, and we learned how to manage the fire department, how to do budgeting, how to manage employees, maybe disgruntled or even promotions, and just from a chief or a leader standpoint of the fire department, we learned how to manage those. And managing as far as like the fire department, I hope that those qualities and those things I've learned in those classes, and we're running my own business too, I hope that those help me as far as qualifications for sitting on this school board. I do have a lot to learn about what goes on, but whatever I've done, I give 110%, and I'm willing to work hard on the school board for our teachers and our educators and these people that we represent. A little bit, everybody asks about your agenda, what's on your agenda, and I get so frustrated sometimes because you hear school board members going in with an agenda to get a ball coach fired or to hire a ball coach. Well, let me tell you something, that ain't me. Our job on the school board is to educate our children and get them ready for the next step in their life. It's not, we're not there to hire and fire a ball coach and worry about a ball team. Some of the small things on my agenda though, I want to go in with an open mind. Like I said, I've got a lot to learn, and I want to go in with an open mind and you know, kind of pick my path to what I want to do. But at West Carter County Volunteer Fire Department, where I volunteer, we have a mentoring program. We have junior firefighters that are in high school, and they report to the fire department on each grade card. They bring in, they have to keep their grades up, they have to show where they attended school and not miss class and good behavior, and they have to show all that to the fire department. And that's helped. We've helped so many kids that way because you wouldn't believe the excitement. Those kids, they get to participate in the fire department. They get to run these calls and they get to help with fires. And we've even had study sessions at the fire department because the kids needing help to keep their grades up because they want to stay in that fire department. And that gives those kids something to work for and something to look forward to. And that's one thing I want to try, if I'm on the board, I want to try to implement that into other organizations in the county, try the fire departments, maybe even, you know, a sheriff's department thing or something like that. But I want to implement those kind of programs. I really want to push our vocational classes. I feel like we're trying to send everybody to an office job, and before long we're not going to have anybody build furniture or change oil. And there's just some kids that their path is not college. And if a kid wants to learn a trade, I think they should have that opportunity to learn a trade. And that's vocational is something else I'm going to push. And lastly, our county is full of phenomenal educators. I'm out of school. I've been out of school 6 years, so I'm still kind of fresh on what goes on. And we have so many educators that just do phenomenal work and stay after school, come in on Saturdays, and really have a passion and really care about our kids. And those are the kind of people that I'm ready to go to bat for. If I'm elected, I want to start immediately making sure that those educators have the curriculum and the supplies, the facilities, and everything they need to raise up, to grow our children and make them ready for their next step in life, whatever that may be. I appreciate your all's time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. Are there questions? Commissioner Lyons.
Yes, Mr. Leonard, I wanted to ask, I see your passion with the fire department. I also see your passion with the school board. What would be your long-term goal? What's your long-term passion? Is it going to be school board and fire department? Or are you going to be a long-term politician like a lot of politicians?
As far as doing both, Ray, the fire department's flexible. We work 24-hour shifts, work 10 days a month. we can have up to 2 guys off. As far as getting off work to attend a meeting or something like that, I won't have no problem. Long term, I really, being the volunteer fire department and serving that for nothing, so to speak, I mean, you get the reward of helping people. But it's just given me a love for my community and the area I live in. And this is just another way that I feel like that I can give back to my community. And I'd love to be on the school board as long as they do.
I realize that may have been an unfair question to see you think about, because you're a very young man.
I am.
I'll give you that.
I am, and I feel like not just me, but I feel like we do need some younger people, because one day the younger people is who's going to take over.
Mr. Hayward?
I've got 2 actually. The first one is, what vocational programs would you like to see brought into the school system, or would you like to work on? And the second is, do you have any conflicts of interest at all that would prevent you from voting on any matter that was placed in front of you on the school board?
I see what you're getting at. And no. Like I said, to start with, I'm going in with an open mind. I have to choose my path, and I have to do what I think's right. I can listen to other people's opinions, but I'm going in making sure that I form my own opinion, and I'm going to go with what I feel deep down, no matter whose opinion that I listen to. And your other question, since I've graduated at Happy Valley, the wood shop is gone, the agriculture and ag mechanics is gone, and electricity, they say there's 3 or 4 in each class. The welding program, we used to send, when I was in school, every year I was in school, we sent 4 or 5 to state, and they ain't sent one in the last 2 or 3. I want to see that get built back up, because there's kids out there that need that.
Thank you. Other questions? See none? Thank you, Mr. Hubbard. Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Mrs. Miller? Come forward and address the commission.
All of you should have received a letter and a resume of my qualifications. I've had a wonderful career as a classroom teacher, principal, and supervisor in the Carter County school system. I supervise the Head Start program, the pre-K program, extended contract, and after-school programs. I wanted to talk to you and tell you a little bit about the Carter Cares after-school programs and how they began. Not many people know this, and they didn't need to know it, but I want to share it with you. The Carter Cares program began when we were at supervisors' meetings, and Dallas Williams would say, what can we do to help these kids improve? What can we do to help the test scores? What can we do in academics? And in my heart of hearts, I knew the thing we really need to do is get more tutoring, more assistance with these children. And I heard about a program that they had in Hawkins County. And it's a 21st century after-school program. I called the lady who was over it and talked to her numerous times about what they did and their procedures and the programs they had. And I mentioned this to Mary Trott and Debbie Magic. And I could never write that grant myself, but they said, let's go for it, Ella. Let's write that grant and get an after-school program. Well, we all had very heavy workloads, and we didn't have time to really do that during our work time. So we worked after school. We came in on weekends. We worked and worked so many hours on that grant. It was very precious to me. When we finished it, it was about an inch thick. And I didn't want to put it in a mill. I just couldn't do it. So my husband went with me. We got in the car one morning, took it to Nashville, went up on the 5th floor of the education building, and put it in the hands of a lady named Laura. That's where I would mill it. And got right back in the car and drove back home. Well, it worked out for us. We got $1.3 million over 5 years. and we opened 7 after-school programs. Now, this Carter Cares program, really, we started out with no cost, and it was my dream. I got to put in everything that I wanted in an after-school program. I even had, some things have changed. I wanted something for our kids on snow days. I wanted, it was something that would be free for parents, and it was free for years until the state told us to charge a registration fee so that people feel more entitled in the program and the attendance would be good, because attendance was very important. So we got the program in, and you know, like I said, not many people knew what was going on, and Debbie and Mary helped me with it a lot, and then I took over the program by myself. But to pull in a parking lot and go in and see the activities going on, and the after-school program was one of the most satisfying things that I've ever felt in my heart, because, you know, we did it. It was a big accomplishment for me. The other thing I want to talk to you about is the pre-K program. How did it come in? Head Start was a program for 4-year-olds. We did have some 3-year-olds in it. And we had a year that we couldn't meet the budget for Head Start. I'd have to drop a teacher in a classroom. So what I did, so we didn't lose any students, I added some to each classroom in the county. We had 8 elementary schools that had Head Start. So they put like 2 children in each classroom. And then I asked the state for money. Pre-K money was just starting to come out. And so I got pre-K money for the classroom at Valley Forge. We turned it from a Head Start into a pre-K. So we added 20 extra students were getting pre-K. So then a few years went by, and then I asked Dallas Williams was still in office, and I asked him, I said, Dallas, if I retire and I'm able to bring in more pre-K programs, could I stay and work a half-year contract? And he said, go for it. So I did. I wanted every school to have a pre-K program. So I went to Little Milligan. I didn't have one there. I went to Range, and I went to Yanaka. Yanaka didn't have space, but we found space at the other 2 schools. And so I opened up 2 pre-Ks there, and then I had the pre-K at Valley Forge. And when Range closed, we moved a portable to Yanaka and had the pre-K program there. I will tell you that any time that I had a pre-K program or a Head Start program, I always kept a wonderful playground. And the children could use it, not only the Head Start and pre-K students, but also children. And some, it was different in different schools, but 1st grade or 2nd grade, and sometimes even 3rd grades could play on that equipment. I feel I have the qualifications. I have the experience to be a good board member. I'm familiar with budgets. I've been responsible for federal budgets, state budgets. I really care about the quality of our students' education. And I care about the economic effect that a good education has on our county. I'm a team player. I work in Unity on the board. You know, I have retired. I've been retired over 2 years, but I still feel that I have a lot to give. And I'd like to give that to the Carter County School Board, and I appreciate your vote. Do I have any questions?
Thank you. Are there questions, Commissioner Cook?
Same 2 questions. What programs would you like to bring into the schools or improve? And do you have any conflicts of interest that would prevent you from voting on anything that comes before you in that role?
I absolutely have no conflict of interest on anything. And I just follow my conscience on what I think is right, do everything right. As far as programs, I really focused on mine when I was a supervisor. I really need to get in there and kind of critique all of the different programs. I will tell you, I have a granddaughter with autism, so the children with special needs are very special to me. I'd like to know that they're given opportunities to learn trades where they can go out and be successful in society and not have to draw welfare. I am interested in vocational. I think we have a lot of students that really could go the vocational route and actually make more money than they could if they go out and get a degree and they have all these student loans. I know we have a wonderful, wonderful TCAP program up here. I was shocked when I went through it to see what all they offered, and you know, you can get into pipe fitting and start making $40,000 a year. So there are things out there, but like I said, I couldn't commit to anything right off, but I can tell you that I would really look at everything.
Thank you. Commissioner Von Cannon was first, and then Commissioner Carroll.
Ms. Miller, I see that you've been working, or have worked, on the board of directors of the Imagination Library. What impact do you think this program, which is a non-school program, what impact has that had on reading programs, because you were also a reading supervisor?
I'm a reading specialist. That's one thing that I majored in college. The Imagination Library is very dear to my heart. I was been in it from the very beginning. Statistics show us that if a child has books in a classroom, it's a good predictor of what kind of reader they're going to be. And in that program, we could give them, if we get them at birth, they'll have 60 free books in their class, in their home. And I know I had those same books in my classrooms, and the teachers were encouraged to read them to the children. So when they get them in the mail, they get real excited and they really want to learn to read those books. So they definitely have a big impact on our children. The sad part is that a lot of people move. And if they move and they have small children and they don't get their address updated, they don't get the books. So, and they can do that at the public library if you know where.
Commissioner Carroll.
What do you consider would be the greatest challenge on the school board concerning the problems that the education system faces?
That's a good question. I honestly have to get in there. I sat in school board meetings for 16 years, but still, like I say, I focused on my department and my things, but I'd almost have to get in there to see. Budget's always a problem.
Commissioner Lawrence.
Ms. Miller, are there any programs that you know existing in the school system right now that need to be revamped or done away with, and would you take that on?
I don't know of any right off, but if I did see it, you know, I would definitely take it on. I'm not afraid to take anything on.
Any other questions, Mrs. Miller? Seeing none, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate both of you and Mr. Alvin. Okay, you've heard statements from both candidates and an opportunity to have a question and answer period. So when the clerk calls your name, please voice the name of the individual that you will vote for. Madam Clerk?
Buford Peters.
We can't hear.
Okay, the response was Hubbard.
Willie Campbell.
Miller.
Robert A. Kane.
Hubbard.
Nancy Brown. Miller. Mike Hill.
Miller.
Al Meehan.
Hubbard.
Randy Johnson.
Miller.
Ronnie Crivitt.
Can I vote for both of them?
No, sir, only one.
I'll vote for Hubbard, I guess.
Charles Montana.
Miller.
Elsie Pester.
Miller.
Isaiah Rhinestein.
Miller.
Danny Ward.
Hubbard.
Ross Carlin.
Miller.
Timothy Hogan.
Hubbard.
Bobby Gooch. Deeds.
Miller.
Randall Jenkins.
Hubbard.
Larry Miller. John Lewis.
Miller.
Ray Lyons,
Hubbard.
Sonia Cutter, Hubbard, Scott Semley,
Miller.
Buddy McQueen,
Hubbard.
Robert Carroll,
Miller.
Kelly Collins, Miller.
For Mrs. Miller and 10 for Mr. Hunt. So, Mrs. Miller, congratulations. You were appointed to fill the vacancy on the 7th District for the school board. I want to thank both of you for stepping up and being here this evening and serving your county. Appreciate you both. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is to consider items coming forward from the Budget Committee. And while Chairwoman Culler comes to the podium, I was remiss in welcoming our new Finance Director, Brad Burke. This is his first meeting, although it feels like he's already been with those of us on the Budget Committee for a long time. But we appreciate him being here. He knows our county well. When he worked for the Comptroller's Office, he audited this county on a number of occasions. He's got a master's degree as well as a CPA. So, Brad, we thank you for joining us, and we hope you won't be disappointed. I know we're not. I thank you.
I'm just glad he's still here after all those meetings. You'll take out your budget amendments. First motion I'd like to put forward the committee is, the commission, is the donations for April. Totaling,
are you going to go?
I'm sorry.
First one that I've got is the resolution.
Oh, okay.
And you're taking.
I was just going by my usual notes, so we can do
Oh, okay.
resolutions first. We have two resolutions brought forth by my committee. The first one is the resolution for unclaimed accounts from the Treasurer, State Department of Tennessee, and I'll ask Josh if he'll summarize that resolution for us.
Certainly. This resolution basically requests from the State Treasurer in Nashville that they return any unclaimed monies that they hold on behalf of Carter County to the county, which we in turn can put in our general fund and allocate. We do have to reserve a certain portion of it. It's not specified, but I think it's going to be maybe around 25% of it. But there's a chance that there's some fairly substantial funds that would be returned to the county, and in turn, we simply have to honor any valid requests that are made to claim them from here on forward and report annually to the state. The odds are at this point there wouldn't be many claims, and some of these funds would go back to the 80s.
And that is a resolution that I'll put forward from my committee.
And Commissioner Jenkins, second. Are there any other further questions for Commissioner Carroll?
Now, this is for the county sales of property. Run taxes.
Not necessarily. It could be any office in the county where there's funds that have gone unclaimed. It could be something from Ms. Gooch's office where somebody didn't pick up a return check or overpaid a fee. It could be any office. It could be court cases. It doesn't necessarily have to be the delinquent tax sale. That's just one area.
Well, but that is, the property is another area. Is there any method of advertising to let these people know that there is money for them, all they have to do is claim it?
Right. Well, as of now, we're obligated to use our good faith efforts to find these folks, and in many cases, obviously the clerks and the courts and others have to go through the process to seek out those.
So there is an attempt.
Yes, sir. And then obviously from now on, I mean, like I said, it isn't that this money just automatically becomes ours forever. If the rightful owner does come forward and file a claim, we've got to pay it back.
Other questions?
Is
Commissioner
that
Hall?
why you're keeping the 25% back?
Yeah, it's meant to be a quick turnaround if somebody does claim.
Commissioner Johnson?
Mr. Chair, County Attorney, just being inquisitive, who determines whether they qualify for reimbursement for money that's turned into the state? Is our, do they have to go through the appeal courts or?
No, I mean, as it stands right now, this money's just held at the state. You see these advertisements every so often for unclaimed money. You get on the website, run your name and see. But once they come back here, if anybody files a claim with the county, we're obligated to review it. We bring it before this commission, most likely. And if there was a determination here that it was the rightful person was entitled to it, then we would refund the money. But if this commission denies it, then they have the state appellate route they can go. And we have to send that in to the state treasurer and let them know.
Questions? Motion's on the floor.
Do we know what the current amount of unclaimed monies are? Approximately, precise?
Not exactly. Like I said, this unfortunately has never been done here, and the law was passed to authorize this in like 1985. So I mean, it could be substantial money. I mean, it could be definitely six figures. We just don't know until this is adopted, and we have to send in all the information, and they check their records, and they'll let us know.
Josh, one other question. There is a fee that the state will charge us for returning the money.
Right, yeah, I think they call it administrative fee. Of course, the state has a fee, and we don't know how much that is, but obviously if we get anything, that's better than nothing.
Is that a horse or tail time?
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to move the resolution forward for funds that are downstate. Any other questions before we go to vote?
Mr. Chairman, how long do we have to keep that in reserve if somebody comes up and wants to refund?
There's no real time limit. Like I said, there is no time that goes by that just says automatically that's it forever. I mean, we're obligated to quickly turn around requests if they're made, and there is no black and white answer.
In other words, if somebody, we got some of their property and they come up and want it back, and they can do it indefinitely, right on?
That's correct. You know, like I said, some of the funds have to be held by the state for 18 months before they're even eligible for this. So I mean, at least a year and a half has went by, and you would think if somebody had any inkling they had some money due to them in a year and a half, they would. And that's after the county holds it for, I think it's maybe 2 years that the county offices would hold it before we ever send it to the state. So I mean, we're talking like 3.5, 4 years of them not missing their money before we would ever get it back.
Okay, we've already, I think some people have already voted, but you're voting for the resolution. So we'll go ahead and do the vote, please.
Do you have a question?
Did you have a question? I'm sorry.
I just had one question. It seems to me the man that would know more about this than most videos would be our Mr. Burke. Have you weighed in on this at all, Mr. Burke?
Yes, I have.
So what was your take on this? You have it in.
I think it's a good idea.
Okay. Proceed. I think we've got Commissioner Von Kenneth, I think it's left yet. Okay. All ayes. 3 yeses, thank you. Commissioner Miller is here. We want to sign him in. Okay, he's present. He's present.
Next one is a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign on behalf of the county for the health department for special needs reimbursement grant. And I will then ask Josh to summarize the resolution. This is being brought to you by the Budget Committee.
You make that form of motion?
I do make it in form of motion.
I'll second that.
So, a second for Commissioner Tripp.
This is a resolution to authorize the mayor to execute the grant. It's $350,000, up to $350,000. It's a reimbursable grant, requires no actual money, because we get reimbursed for everything that's spent, but we do have to spend it first, and then we submit the paperwork. I think Ms. Hurt will handle that as she does, and they will reimburse us for costs up to $350,000. And it has to be used to renovate the health department, a couple areas that haven't been renovated. I think it's primary care and family planning areas. It's a couple areas of the building that were part of the recent renovation.
Questions? Okay, seeing none. Madam Clerk? All ayes, thank you.
Okay, now I'll go back, sorry. Regular budget items, you have in your agenda, the packet from the meeting. First is the donation for April, $587.32 for the animal shelter, $250 for sports and recreation, total of $837.32, and I'll put that on the motion.
And Commissioner Deeds, second. Questions? Hearing none. We'll vote on the motion. All ayes, thank you.
Next item is general fund budget 101, amendment number 11, for a total of $96,578.77. There are 10 items. $11,081.74 will be coming from the fund balance, and I'll put that in form of a motion.
Is there a second? Commissioner Collins, second. Questions or discussion? Commissioner Holt?
I do just have a comment. I know there's some handwritten notations in here that probably should have an initial and a date on it to make it official.
Whatever needed, we can do that. What item you just,
The one you just spoke about.
oh, okay.
It's after item number 11.
Item number 11.
Yeah, where it's a handwritten tally.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm
You'll
looking
just,
at mine. Oh, okay. The explanation is there was one item number 1, you'll notice that there was item number 1, and that was not voted, that was defeated by the committee. So that's why we had to make the written correction.
What was the 11,000 from fund balance?
Brad, I can't remember which one that
$7,000 was for purchase of scanner and office supplies for Chancery Court. And $2,570 tourism grant matching funds.
any other questions? Okay. Ready to vote? Then vote on the motion. Twenty-two ayes, 2 noes. Motion passes. Thank you.
The next motion has to do with the health department, and that also is following up on the resolution. The motion is for health department fund 117, amendment number 4 for a total of $38,888. One item, nothing coming from the fund balance. I'll put that in form of motion.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Questions? Discussion? Madam Clerk, clerk goes to vote. All ayes, thank you.
Next item is drug fund 121, excuse me, amendment number 11 for a total of $636. There are 2 items, nothing coming from fund balance, and that's in the form of a motion.
Second by Commissioner Deeds. Any questions, discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, we'll go to the vote. All ayes, thank you.
Next item is Highway Fund 131, amendment number 7, total of $162,791.69. One item, nothing coming from fund balance, and that's in the form of a motion.
Second. Second, Commissioner Trivett. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, we'll go to the vote.
Question.
Questions? I'm sorry.
Just talk about bridge construction. Can we get some information which bridge this is?
Superintendent Cobalt.
Is this a general, is that just a general bridge?
It's a Main Street Bridge in Rock Mountain. It's under construction. Summer and Taylor is the contractor. They have poured and backfilled abutment number 1. This is the payment, first payment that's coming in. We'll probably get one of these about every month till the bridge is finished. That money is coming from KDOT, and we'll put it in our fund to pay the bridge.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Superintendent Cobalt. Any other questions? All right, continue to vote, please. All ayes, thank you.
I have a motion to approve the General Debt Service Fund 151, amendment number 1, for a total of $1,500. One item, nothing coming from fund balance.
That's a motion, is there a second? Commissioner Garland, any questions, discussion? Madam Clerk, vote. All ayes, thank you.
Motion to approve General Purpose School Fund 141, amendment number 12, for a total of $652,151.11, 13 items, and $147,807.88 coming from the school's fund balance. And that was the motion.
Is there a second? Second, Mr. Lewis. Thank you. Questions? Commissioner Lyons?
Under that section is $50,000 other charges. Try to bottom of that.
One second, let me get over there to it.
$50,000 increase.
Which side of that?
It's 727110-599. It's under item 1.
Item 1.
Yeah, just other charges. What is that?
$50,000 in other charges. It's transportation budget funds, so I'm not, Fred, can you have any idea what that is?
It was just a category they chose to reallocate some of their funds to. As far as any specifics, we want to give you.
To reallocate to what?
To other charges.
What are the other charges?
That's what he said, they weren't given specific charges. We could ask Dr. Ward if he could answer that question. It just listed as other charges.
Dr. Ward, I'd have to check into the Wayne bus garage. Is that the budget we're talking about?
Transportation budget, yes, sir.
Find out specifically what allocated allocations were.
It's okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none? Vote. 22 ayes, 2 noes. Motion carries.
A motion to approve the Federal Project Funds 142, amendment number 5, amount of $34,478.72. There are 2 items, nothing coming from fund balance. Motion.
Commissioner Booth, second. Are there questions?
I'm sorry? Oh, it is, I'm sorry, I've typed it wrong on my sheet here. $37,478.72. Thank you.
Questions? Hearing none. Let's go to the vote, please. All ayes, thank you.
That is all the motions that I have, but at this time, if I may, I would like to do an update on the budget.
I'm sorry.
I hope you skipped one or I slept for the recreation.
That was with the donations.
Okay.
That was in combination of the donations. Any other questions? It was 250 for sports and 537 for the animal.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I do have a question. I did not have an opportunity to attend the budget meeting, but I'm referencing the minutes. The ARC grant request for a 30% match was declined by the committee. We did talk at length with Elizabeth Electric Systems, Rob Tony, who is a member of our 1101, our JCDB board. We've talked with folks at Mountain Electric and we've talked with folks at Bright Ridge. All of those people are of the opinion that the feasibility study is something that's needed and warranted. So I guess my question is, for those people that were on the committee, why did we decline that grant opportunity?
I'd be glad to answer that, or you can ask them individually. There were several comments about they would like to have more information, and there were some comments about there had already been a feasibility study done in the area.
Not for broadband.
And there were some questions about some other products, some other companies that might give a better.
Well, the three companies that are critical to this are Mountain Electric, Elizabeth Electric, and Bright Ridge. So what other companies would there be that you would contact?
I'll let Mr. Hill address that.
Mr. Hill?
He has some information he can provide with the committee.
There's a company out of Ashe County, North Carolina called SkyVest, and they have, State Representative Timothy Hill carried legislation to allow them to come into the state. They're already servicing Shady Valley, and they're pushing into Johnson County right now. They actually they performed their own feasibility studies with their engineers. They supposedly expand the grant worthiness areas. Ours are small, and they apply for the grants themselves and deploy. They've been awarded about 5 of these so far.
Well, I'm familiar with SkyVest and their involvement there in Shady and the push to get them into Mountain City, but that's something totally different. And, you know, I think at this point in time, it would be kind of foolish if we pass up this opportunity, especially when the utilities are on board with it and think that it's a good idea. But nonetheless, the committee's already spoken, but it's just another grant opportunity we need to do everything possible to get that much needed service in our county.
Well, again, like you said, you did not attend the committee. I believe it was a feeling of the committee that if we had more information, we'd be glad to go back and address that later.
Well, you've got the information now. Is there anything that would prevent you from taking the
No,
vote on
we had the
this?
same information that we had the other night, I believe. So,
No, I think we expanded upon that, but nonetheless.
Mayor, that was one question I had with the, I know you said you had other utility support. We didn't hear from Rob Tony or anybody from Bright Ridge or anything like that. That was a question I had myself.
Well, we did address that in the 1101 board, and I asked Mr. Tony direct, Mr. Tony, what's your opinion of this feasibility study? And he felt at the time that it was something that was needed and warranted. So, you know, I don't know what other information I can give you beyond that.
I don't think we were against it. We just provided some more information. I think we made a better decision that evening. I mean, if it could be brought back up and maybe another vote possibly with a little more information.
Chairman, I make a motion that we just postpone this to a later date to find out more information.
Okay, I'll take a motion as needed since it didn't come out of committee. So the mayor certainly can resubmit it and we'll hear it again on the budget committee in June. Mr. Cole?
okay, I want to give you an update on where the committee, the hearings have been going on. My committee's put in about 20 hours or more. That's a rough estimate, it's probably more. I appreciate all the work that they've done. I appreciate Commissioner Johnson, he's attended every committee meeting as well. The initial budget request included estimated revenue of $15,375,201.59. The appropriation of $16,714,189.89. That resulted in a shortage of $1,338,988.30. That would be equal to 1.607 cents on the tax increase. Currently, after much discussion, after much going back and asking questions and going back and asking for people to relook at their budget, we've modified it, which includes an estimated revenue of $15,375,201.59. Appropriations of $16,172,282.41, which results in a shortage of $751,257.39, which is now a 0.001, which is like 9 cents tax rate. This includes no employee raises. It includes only outside agencies that we are required to fund. The Board of Education has approved their budget for the general purpose school funds and the central cafeteria funds with no request for additional funds. All the officials and the departments in the general fund were asked to cut their non-payroll items by 10% if possible. Certain offices and departments approached that threshold. Some of them said they couldn't do it. There just wasn't enough money there. There wasn't any fluff. We talked to our finance director the other night, and he said he didn't see that much fluff in those. But we're going to go back and take another look at it. We have been working very hard on this. We don't want a tax increase, but as most of you know, we started out the year in a hole. So, we've got to have something to fill that hole. And to be honest with you, that right there is 5 cents. So that's what we're looking at. We've got 2 more meetings, and I want to make sure that June 4th was publicized. The next meeting is next Thursday, the 29th at 6 o'clock. We'll be here in the courtroom. We welcome the commissioners. We'd love to have you to hear what's going on. We're trying to work on this. We're trying to do the best we can do. We've gone back to the department heads, and we're probably going back and ask them some more cuts. We're trying to take a look at any area that we can to cut, because this year, as you know, we voted to go in with a balanced budget. We have a meeting the 29th, and if necessary, we have a meeting on June the 4th. If there's anybody who can tell me where to cut, we're willing to listen to you. If you come to the meetings and you want to speak, well, I'll usually let you speak. If you don't want a tax increase, it's pretty much you're going to have to cut some services. So you need to be aware of where we are and what we've been doing. Any questions?
Mr. Lyons? I just want to make one comment. I remember last year we were going through the same process, and we set aside a committee, a financial management committee. And I think somebody may remember this. And we asked that committee to look at other streams of revenue that could be brought into this. And we had 2 meetings, and then I was pretty much laughed out of the building. So here we are again with the same issue. We're still going to have to raise property taxes again instead of looking at other possibilities in other counties. And we looked at other counties. 2 or 3 commissioners met with me on that committee twice. Ms. Collins met with me, and I think there was another commissioner met with me for 2 meetings. We can't continue. Well, I'll save my speech till later. But anyway, there are other possibilities if we open our eyes and look at innovative opportunities that other counties in this state have to raise revenue. And it's hard issues like this that I'm talking about that people are afraid to go down that road that supported me last year in this, but wouldn't come out vocally and support it. I'm talking about commissioners. So I think that's something we can think about before your next meeting on Monday night. Or before we pass the budget.
Like I said, you're welcome to our meetings, you're welcome the whole time we've been meeting, and if you have a solution, my committee's more than willing to listen to it. Thank you.
Why don't we take a 10-minute break? I don't know if folks are out in the hall, but we can get going so we can finish on come out. Chairman McCullough wanted me to announce to the commission and also those that are here this evening that a penny is worth $83,341.
Say that again.
$83,341. So we have that information. So the next item on the agenda comes from the Health and Welfare Committee. Chairman Holden will talk about that and then say a few words.
Yes, this resolution came to the Health and Welfare Committee this month, and it's to recognize May 20th to the 26th as National EMS Week. And we realize that May the 20th started yesterday, so we're a little bit late in getting this out, but better late than never. And what I would like to do, just let Josh go over it and just read what you guys want to hear, just to summarize it. But what I would like to do is take this time to recognize anyone in the EMS department, anyone on the first responder, firefighters, police department, rescue squad, anyone that's associated with EMS in any way. I would like to recognize you guys. If you just stand, we'd like to recognize you. Thank you very much. This is a very, very special group of folks. They're the ones that are running in the burning building when everyone else is running out. Thank you very much.
Josh, you want to
Read this.
Gil, why don't you read it?
This is a resolution in recognition of National EMS Week 2018 and honoring the services provided locally by the Carter County Emergency Rescue Squad. Whereas in 1974, President Gerald Ford authorized EMS Week to celebrate EMS practitioners and the important work they do in our nation's communities, and May 20th through 26th, 2018 is the 44th annual National EMS Week. Whereas EMS Week brings together local communities and medical personnel to honor the dedication of those who provide essential day-to-day life-saving services for local residents. And whereas the Carter County Emergency Medical Services and Rescue Services are provided by the Carter County Emergency Rescue Squad. And whereas said organization had humble beginnings, was first organized in the 1950s as a strictly volunteer rescue squad after the creation of Wakava Lake. Whereas over the years, as Carter County's population continued to grow, so did the number of emergency calls that required a medical and/or rescue response. Whereas as the number of emergency calls grew, so did the rescue squad, growing from a small group of dedicated volunteers without much training, paid paramedics and certified emergency medical technicians who provide emergency medical and rescue services 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Whereas today, the Carter County Emergency Rescue Squad responds to over 12,000 calls annually in a fleet of modern advanced life support ambulances, and it strives to provide the best ambulance rescue and emergency medical services possible while meeting the needs of Carter County and the surrounding area. Whereas the citizens of Carter County are extremely fortunate to be able to rely upon those who provide emergency medical and rescue services throughout the county in their time of need. Whereas the Board of County Commissioners feels it is appropriate to honor those that provide emergency medical and rescue services locally, and in turn provide them with some much deserved recognition for the invaluable services they provide to the citizens of Carter County on a daily basis. Now therefore be resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Carter County, Tennessee, meeting in regular session on this 21st day of May 2018. The lawful quorum of said board being present, majority voting in the affirmative, that the board hereby adopts this resolution. recognizing National MS Week, May 20 through 26, 2018, and honoring the exceptional and selfless efforts of the men and women of the Carter County Emergency Rescue Squad who continue to provide excellent emergency medical and rescue services throughout Carter County.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Hill. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, will you vote? All ayes, thank you. Highway Committee, Chairman Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First up, on recommendation from my committee, I would like to open the floor or I would like to make a motion that we adopt or accept the acceptance of the proposal of the Tennessee Department of Transportation resolution that's in your packet.
Second motion. Got a second by Commissioner Cole. You want to summarize? Attorney Harden?
Basically, this is just a follow-up that's normally done beforehand before a project like this is instituted, but in this case, TDOT performed these services on an emergency basis. It was a culvert or something there on State Route 143 in Round Mountain Road. The work is done. This just follows through with approval of the work by the county.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, will the vote. Approve the resolution. All ayes, thank you. Chairman Hill.
The only other item I have, I make a motion that we adopt Hidden Oaks Lane as a county road to the county road list. I believe the vote in the committee was unanimous, and this has been in the pipeline for several weeks.
Okay, second by Commissioner Brown. Any discussion, questions?
I need to point out, this is with the stipulation that they're going to follow through with the survey, and we have to acquire the right-of-way first. They just wanted to make sure, I think, that this was going to happen. So if you all approve it, they'll have to provide us with a survey, and we'll acquire the right-of-way first before it's officially adopted.
Commissioner Cole?
Can that be added at this time, or will that be on the next highway meeting? Is there any problem with adding it during the year?
No, it'll end up on the list for the official blessing in January of next year. And the stipulation that came out of the committee was that they had to meet all of Mr. Colbach's criteria.
The attorney suggests that we probably should make the motion contingent on these other items occurring before we accept it as well.
I would make that amendment.
Okay, you agree, Commissioner Gurney? Okay, all right. Commissioner Manning?
What is that hidden note?
Our district.
That's not the only hidden note.
You want to explain where it is? Apparently, I'm sure other people might be.
There are more than one. Well, that'll be a whole other.
I don't know if it's Hidden Oaks Lane or not, you know, not sure on that.
Yeah, I know that, but is it lane or avenue or should we do this?
Kind of hold on, when you're talking over each other, it just kind of gives us some feedback. So one at a time. Shannon, what were you saying?
The one we're on out is Hidden Oaks Lane. The other one you're talking about is plain Hidden Oaks. Hidden Oaks Lane. Two different places.
And we are dealing with Hidden Oaks Lane. Everybody clear? There is a motion and a second.
You would have to pass muster with 911 before we can officially name it. As long as there's no other one, I would assume that it would be fine. They have to bless it too.
And we have an amended motion by Chair and seconded, and it has been accepted by Commissioner Brown.
Can we
Commissioner Ward?
Can we back up a month and maybe find out the rest of the information before we vote? I mean,
We did this with one previously. The property owners want assurances that we won't deny them if they meet the requirements of the budget.
we may not, 911 might.
Is
Just as far as
Commissioner Collins?
Is it already named Hidden Oaks Lane? Then I don't know why when we contacted 911, it's already named.
Commissioner Williams?
There are more than one Mountain View circles in Carter County, but they have different zip codes. And that appears on the 911 list. So apparently that's acceptable.
Other questions? All here is scrutiny. So let's move to the vote to approve contingent on those items for Hidden Oaks Lane. Okay, all ayes, thank you.
That's all I've got, sir.
Thank you. Chairman Grindstaff, you want to talk about your major projects list from Building and Grounds?
I had every intention of getting up here and say, yep, we have one, and going back and sitting down. In your package, you can find a group of papers. It's 2 pages or 3 pages, depending on how it's printed out. It says Major Projects List, Building and Grounds Committee. One of the things that whenever I took over as Building and Grounds Chair, I was handed down several projects, things that we were already working on, and we tried to keep up with them, and we did on our minutes. The issue with keeping up with on the minutes is, you've got to go and you've got to find the project and sort through if there's any actions taken or anything. And so I wanted to make this a little bit more, I guess, easier to read. So we come up with a list, and these are the top, 8 right now, 8 to 10 items that the Building and Grounds and the Commission have taken some sort of action on. This document is going to be updated as we take as action is made on these items. In fact, I think some action's already been taken on some of these. The courthouse sound system replacement, of course, we're hoping to have that in. Initially, we're looking for install this week, but some things happened and they weren't able to make it. But this has a list of like everything that we're working on, and we are open for other projects to be considered by the committee as things fall off, to place them on this list and keep the commission, the budget committee, and of course our committee up to date on what's going on. So if you can, just review this list. I'll answer any questions that you have about anything that may come up that's on here. And forgive any horrible grammar or wording issues. I think there is a number issue. We jumped from like 3 to 5. But that's as we have already taken action on some items and we'll remove some items. So, but this is something that our committee is working on. It's trying to keep track of all these different projects. And you can see in the bottom, I've got different version numbers. So this is version 1.3, and of course there's the date. So as changes are made, a newer version number will come out, and more up-to-date date. Any questions? Mr. Buchanan?
Mr. Grandstaff, item 6 under Roman numeral 6. Order demolition.
I think you're looking at.
I think why are you going to demolish?
I think you're looking at a different list from what I'm looking at. You're looking, I think, at the list that's in our minutes. There was actually a separate list that was actually handed out.
So that's good.
Looks like this.
So that's
yeah, this is the actual
good
list.
for permanent records.
Well, I don't know what's on that. I haven't looked at them. Those haven't.
There is a 3-page list, front and back on the first page and then a following page.
If those are the May committee minutes, those haven't been approved yet. Those are draft minutes.
Other questions for Chairman Grindstaff? Appreciate that very much. Item number 16 is introduction of the
just part of it.
Okay. Introduction of the Elizabeth Carter County Chamber of Commerce's tourism coordinator, and I know I'd like for Director Tony Stevens to come and introduce to us the new tourism coordinator, although he's been here for a while.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us this evening. I know last month was a busy agenda for you guys. First of all, I want to say thank you for your service to our community. You have a challenging job before you every time you make a decision. So just know that we appreciate your work and your dedication to our county. And we look forward to Commissioner Garland joining our chamber board. He will come on in July. So we look forward to having him as a representative on our board with us. When we lost Kayla, and I tell Luke all the time, I'm sorry that you keep bringing her up, but she was a jewel, wasn't she? She was so great and did so many good things. And so I tell him all the time, just know that she, set the pace for things, and she is great, still as a support to us. But Luke Freeman is our new tourism coordinator for Carter County. As y'all know, there aren't many of those jobs around. But he has done a phenomenal job getting his feet wet and getting to know folks, getting engaged, not only at the local level, but at the state level as well. So I'm just going to let him give you a little bit of information about him and what he's been doing for tourism with us.
Good evening, Commissioners. It's good to be here. I'm very excited to take this role and to be able to work on just promoting this community, all the great things that are going on. I was looking at a calendar of all the events going on every year here, and between the Parks and Rec, both city and county, as well as the citizen groups and all kinds of things, there's so many awesome things going on, and it's just great to really have the opportunity to promote that stuff and help support those efforts. So I'm just really excited to be here, and I appreciate your support.
Questions? Thank you both. Welcome. Mayor, you have the floor for your report, sir.
Have no report, sir.
Thank you, sir. Committee reports, Commissioner Garland, Agriculture.
Real quick on agriculture, we met May 8th and actually met at T.A. Duggar this time. We were having we watched some 4-H students, some middle school students that were involved in Northeast Community Credit Union, had some representatives there, and basically a teller kind of situation where the students were ready to come up, kind of an interactive deal in Northeast Community. They did a good job reaching out to the kids and helping them. But the minutes were provided. I think Vicki, somebody must have got those in there, so we thank you for that. We also introduced Mike Nidifer as a new farmland committee member, and experienced farmer. He's served on multiple related boards and organizations in this county, so we're lucky and happy to have him as well. We set up a couple meetings, finalized those. Those are in the minutes, if you want to reference those. And Miss Vicki Clark, she's not here tonight, but they have.
She just walked in. She just walked in.
There she is, Miss Clark. Welcome. Happy to have you. But they put in 2 new programs, and looked like could be some good programs. Court order aid management, and I think Miss Clark is going to be instructing those classes. And a SNAP program as well, the benefit program. I think that's right. And that there's some new government regulations on that, and I think there are some requirements that you have to meet, and I think that's what kind of should be directing and offering classes to kind of get people up to speed on those. And Downtown Farmers Market opens in June. They've added an extra hour this year to accommodate more folks working and things like that. I don't know a date, but it will be from 4 to 8 p.m. in the same location, across from the Elizabeth Police Department, and I can't remember the church right there. The same spot. That's all I have. Any questions?
Thank you, Commissioner Garland. Animal shelter, Commissioner Peters? Anything we need to know?
The minutes, the meeting is in your packet. Also, you have a explanatory audit committee presentation in your packet. that explains the state audit that we went through and their findings. And the bottom line was they felt we were doing everything we could to rectify all the problems.
Thank you, sir. Education, Chairman Ward.
Just wanted to hear, the minutes are in your packet, a few dates. Last day of school is May 30th. The next school board meeting will be, workshop will be June 14th. School board meeting will be June 21st. And that's all I have for education, financial management. Your minutes are in here, you can read them and see what we discussed.
Thank you, sir. Chairman Deeds for the landfill.
Saturday, May the 19th, this past Saturday, the Household Hazard Waste Day was held, and occupants of 60-plus cars brought waste to the recycle center. And they had shotgun shells and gunpowder. That's something that's never been brought before, brought this year. The new roll-off truck has been ordered, and Benny hopes it will arrive in September. And we thought grading for the garage site would begin last week, but the company is finishing up work somewhere else. Probably weather's held it up. And so we're just waiting on the contractor. Hopefully they'll be moving equipment into the landfill this week in order to start grading for the garage site. The air curtain destructor's being used, and citizens are bringing brush to the landfill to be disposed of. Some bad news. Last week, teenagers broke into the recycle center several nights just to damage the property inside the building. And on Friday night, Benny and two others remained at the center and caught the teenagers. Do you have any questions? Yes.
The press card.
Yes, sir. Benny might want to tell more about the teenagers out there. He asked if they press charges.
They are going to press charges on, they're going to get them for 10 charges, vandalism as well as theft.
You want to tell them, Betty, what your plans are? Rather not?
See what they do.
Yes.
The brush collection, how do we charge for that? By weight or how's that work?
That is by weight, it's $42.50 per ton that comes in. If you have 500 pounds, you get charged 500 pounds, so it's prorated.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Law enforcement? No? Nominated Chair Lehan. I don't think there's anything other than what we did for school. No? Okay. Chairman Jenkins, you want to do Parks, Rec, and Rules and Bylaws?
All right, that will report this.
Okay, have I missed anyone? None? We move into the county attorney's report.
Just to keep it short like everybody else, there's no new litigation update, which is good, other than the resolution drafted consisting all the office holders with various issues this month. I'll stand on my written report, which will be part of the minutes, unless anybody has questions.
Any questions for Attorney Murphy? Commissioner comments? Anyone have a comment? Commissioner Von County. Go ahead. Yes.
Good news from Nashville. The governor has signed the legislation that will allow commissioners with a concealed carry permit to carry firearms to the meetings beginning July 1. So I'd like to know who has a concealed permit so I can get on the ground ahead of these guys shooting. We're in trouble. we're in trouble with you.
I sit behind you.
But anyway, the cost savings is immense. You know, there's bound to be a reason for this, and the cost savings is there. Effective July 1, we won't have to have protection from the sheriff's department. We won't have to have even the sheriff.
I can do that.
Thank you.
Sheriff Lunsford, I don't think you want to risk that. We like having Deputy Peterson on it, so thank you. Any other comments from commissioners?
Just like we'll say the budget will be meeting on the 29th, I'm sorry. the
Let's
budget
go
will be
ahead.
meeting on the 29th and on the June the 4th, 6 o'clock.
Commissioner McCoy.
My comments go along with that. I would just like to say thank you to the budget committee. They have the hardest job and arguably the most important job on the committee. I don't think any one of us here have the right to question what they do if we're not there and if we're not taking part. So I say it's incumbent on all of us to bring fresh ideas, new perspectives, and be there. Work aside, we're going to get it done. So it's on all of us. So thank you, but thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner McCoy. Commissioner Johnson.
Mr. Chair, I just want to remind all the commissioners, this time of the year is sometime in Murfreesboro for our young people with various schools. We're fortunate to have the young ladies at Conecuh High School who represent the county in Class B softball. We have Elizabeth boys baseball team that's made the final 8. It's in Murfreesboro. And if you have families in those districts in Northern Ontario, or if you know these young people, give them a pat on the back. That's great.
I know from Commissioner Peters, our discussion earlier today, that the Unica Lady Rangers have already left for Murfreesboro. And I think the majority of folks, like Coach Peters, will be going down in the morning, so we certainly wish them well as the Elizabeth High School girls.
I'd like to recognize that is. Commissioner Peters is the assistant coach on the Lady Rangers softball, which takes an ungodly amount of time, but it really pays off. It really does.
And he's also the grandfather of one of the stars.
5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, our time.
Okay.
We'll be playing Gibson County.
In Murfreesboro. Commissioner Von Camp.
I'd like to say one more thing. I attended the Bartleby program put on by the National Organization for the school system. And 7 young people presented their project that they had developed. And several people were in attendance. I know Mr. Ed George was there and several others. But they came up with 5 projects, potential business projects that they had started, they were going to start. And Mr. Ellis was one of the sharks. What did that mean, Mr. Ellis? You were a shark.
They were time for tough. That means you a shark's time for tough.
But anyway, it's a great program. The sharks were evaluating the program. And I saw one that I really liked. And I probably will get some money together from some of you people to invest in one of the projects. Because it was well done. It was, the detail was better than, in my opinion, the other 4 or 5. And if you're going into business, the details where it is in the big picture, it's the small stuff. But that group was impressive. There's also a program like that Carter County could get involved in that's somewhat different. And I'll get the details. I saw it while I was in Nashville Saturday from this group and presented to the school board sometime. It was very impressive. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Von Camp. Commissioner Collins.
I thought we were going to get an update from Mitch Miller.
That's going to be July. NRAC will be here in July. From Director Mitch Miller, he's going to be here in July. I figure with June and the budget, that's going to be a fairly large agenda item. And since we have a public hearing before that, beginning at 5 o'clock, we'll all probably have enough on our hands, but he will be here in July.
Move for adjournment.
There's a motion to adjourn. Second, we are adjourned.